Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast. We are the web's #1 source for information on the Boston Red Sox farm system from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Pawtucket and all stops in between. Thank you for the download or the stream or however you're listening. My name is Chris Hatfield. I am the executive editor of SoxProspects.com, and as usual, I am joined here in the DC studio with Firefly the Cat, and I'm joined as always on the line by our director of scouting, Ian Kundle. Mr. Kundle, what's going on, man? I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and are heading towards a wonderful holiday season in the jolly old.
Yeah, just counting down the days until we go across the pond for the holidays, so that'll be a lot of fun. And coming off another bad Patriots loss, another depressing Sunday as a New Englander. So what can you do?
When you go to England for Christmas, is there anything like different that you? I mean, it's with your parents. It's not like you're like just by yourself over there. But
no, all my relatives live over there too.
Yeah. So is there any like uniquely?
Well, Boxing Day, which is the day after, is just as big as Christmas Day, basically.
And is there any reason other than just it's awesome? Like, what do you do?
Eat food and drink. And watch soccer. I don't know.
All
it's
right,
like
that works.
It's go on walks. It's fun. I don't know.
Which the British call football.
Yeah, football. Football. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just fun. Yeah.
All right.
It's a good day to celebrate. I should know this. I do know this. Are
you looking up what Boxing Day is?
I do know this. I wanted to make I just wanted to make sure I was right. Yeah, it is the second Christmas Day, basically. So
that's what you just said. Like, how is that different than what you just?
I was right. No, I'm saying I was right. I wanted to make sure I was right.
Okay. Well, anyway, we want to give a shout. Well, I'm going to be in Florida myself, which will be pretty great because it'll be nice and warm.
There. Yeah. That'll be better than it's cold in England. It's probably raining too.
It is. The one time I went to London, it was January and it was miserable.
Yeah.
That's miserable.
Awesome weather.
Yeah.
I look at that.
Anyways, we want to give a shout out to all of our supporters on patreon.com/SoxProspects, especially our $5 level supporters. That'd be Sox Signatures, Kirby Miller, Kyle Costigan, Tyler Woodrow, Jeff Trainer, David Nardone, Tim Harding, Ernest Shermer, Bill Stanton, Deb Kendall, Evan Kirkwood, Chris Fox, James O'Hara, Nathan Kenyon, Andrew Wallen, Lendell Martin, and welcome to Aaron Mehta, who is an absolute rock star for his contribution. So thank you, Aaron. I hope you realize it's per episode. But thank you. It's pretty great to have all of you on board. And, of course, send your emails to podcast@soxprospects.com. We want to talk about what you want to hear about. And, Ian, I realized that I should probably double-check and make sure there's nothing we haven't addressed in the mailbox, because we will definitely get to that today.
We should, because it's about to be the holiday season, so we'll take a little bit of a break for a few weeks.
Yeah, so, we're going to take a little bit of a break, which is why we wanted to make sure we hopped on the line here.
To wrap up riveting winter meetings.
Yeah, and, I mean, maybe that's where we should start, Ian. Not a whole lot went down at the winter meetings, and that's going to kind of inform our podcast today.
But is that a bad thing for the Red Sox? Like, I don't think
they got everything done ahead of time other than the bullpen, which we'll talk about.
And I don't think they were anticipating any fireworks either. I mean, there were those like rumors that they were shopping like Xander, and other than like shopping a catcher, I don't think there's really, and the bullpen, as you said, I don't know what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's all extension stuff, and that doesn't necessarily need to happen at the winter meetings. I saw a really compelling argument that the winter meetings just aren't needed anymore. I think it was in Keith Law's email, his email newsletter. And it's just, I mean, in the age of electronic communication, you don't need the winter meetings.
No. I mean, but then you won't get stories like Jerry DiPoto making trades from hospital beds and the Indians trying to make trades while on flights without Wi-Fi and stuff. Like,
yeah, apparently it was super awkward because like the reporter was in the row of the plane in front of the front office.
Yeah, so he could just like hear. That's like a dream though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, basically.
Like, but yeah, no, I mean, but then you don't get those stories. But it does seem, from talking to some people who were there, it just seems kind of like a big waste of time and money. But
yeah, I mean, I went when it was in National Harbor over here, which ironically I work across the river from now, and it's like a 10-minute drive with no traffic. And only because with no traffic, there's still traffic. But
yeah, I mean, this is DC traffic.
Yeah.
Come on, we both live there.
It's Alexandria to Maryland, technically, but
oh yeah, true. Well, we've both lived there, so we know.
yeah. But it's the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. I almost said Dwight Eisenhower. Woodrow Wilson Bridge. But yeah, you go there and it's just a whole lot of super socializing, and it's just kind of like these people all see each other all year. Like, I don't know. But at any rate,
just an excuse to use Marriott points.
Yeah, and get hacked. I mean, should you want to start with Rule 5 or State of the Bullpen then? Because those are both kind of
probably start with Rule 5.
Winter meetings and Jace, yeah. So Rule 5 draft, Ian, a few things to download here. Really, for me, the headliner, the Red Sox took a couple guys in the minor league portion of the Rule 5 who really are more interesting than anyone they've taken in the minor league portion in a long time, which is usually not interesting at all.
Well, usually don't they just take like Orgy outfielders like Luke Tendler and like
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the draft history page on Sox Prospects, there's a page that has Rule 5 stuff. And
yeah, Andy Ferguson.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Andy Ferguson is.
Andrew Ferguson, he retired because he was a injury guy. And that's kind of the archetype, right? It's like this year, at first look, it's an injury guy and a sidearm guy. And it's like, yep, that's the minor league Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
Right? And that's usually what they kind of do in the minor league portion. But,
yeah,
you know, honestly, the two guys they took, Anielo Gomez, who was selected from the Yankee system, and Andrew Schwab, who technically was selected from the Detroit system, but had been with the Yankees until August when he got cut and then signed with Detroit. Both kind of interesting, Ian.
So is this a tit for tat? Because the other part was Tyler Hill got taken by the Tigers and then traded to the Yankees.
Right, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, Tyler Hill, outfielder who was in Salem, really kind of peaked in Lowell in 2016, Ian. Was their best player that year, I think, is pretty safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, he hit like 330. He was pretty good the following year looking at it now.
I'd say okay.
He had the fluky Greenville steals where he stole 42 bases and hit 270, 340, 390. I mean, no power, but 42 bases, given he's not fast as...
Yeah, I had a conversation with the guys from Pinstriped Prospects who... I was asking them about Schwab and Gomez and telling them about Hill, and I told them, like... Yeah, the 27 steals and 37 attempts this year is a lot more what you're going to get from him than 42 and 50.
If he steals 27 bases in the high minors, I'll be stunned. He's going to go like 15 for 25 or something. He's not fast.
And just to make sure people know, in the minor league phase of the Rule 5 draft, it's players who are not on a team's AAA reserve list. There used to be separate portions. Like there was a AAA portion and a AA portion. They did away with that because like one guy maybe every year would get picked in the AA portion. It was so dumb. But there's no rule about like returning a guy or anything like that. So Hill is gone, and Gomez and Schwab are here. But yeah, I mean Hill, he looks the part, and I completely get how a scout seeing him play would look at him and say, okay, if we fix XYZ, that's a player.
Yeah, I get why he was taken. I mean, you just got to tweak, like you think you can tweak the swing, work on some of the stuff in the outfield defensive wise. Maybe you can stick him in he can play like a passable center field if you work on a few things. And I mean, I don't think he can, but I mean, this is like the rose colored glasses viewpoint.
Right.
But the big thing I think is if you think you can like tweak the swing to get more power, but still, I'm not like, if I'm the Red Sox, I'm not too concerned. And clearly they weren't that concerned if they didn't put him on that roster to protect him.
Yeah. I mean, can you consider 40 guys in the 40 or 39 guys in the 40-man roster and I guess 35 guys in the AAA roster at most? If you're not at this point of your career, one of, 75 or 74 guys the organization wants to protect.
Yeah.
It's not a great look.
Well, especially I forgot he was drafted in 2014 because he was a 2-year GCL guy. So
yeah. So it's Godspeed. Good luck to Tyler Hill. One of the best Twitter follows in the system while he was around.
I mean, we'll be seeing a lot of him this year when he's with Trenton. So
presumably with Trenton, I would presume he goes to Trenton and not Tampa.
Yeah, right? I would assume so. He spent the entire year with Salem, so he kind of have to send him to Trenton.
Yeah, but Gomez and Schwab are interesting, Ian. Gomez, it was selected in last year's Major League Rule 5 draft.
Which is interesting. That doesn't happen very
interesting.
often.
And he apparently really piqued the interest of he was selected by the Braves out of the Yankee system and got returned late in camp, went to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and wound up blowing his shoulder out after 7 appearances. Fastball sits 94 to 97 with some late life per hour report, but I think, let me pull up the report I got from the guys at Pinstripe Prospects. Oh, derp. Hang on. And yellow. Oh no, probably just Gomez.
I have
Gomez.
You got the email?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it. Yeah, so the guys over there, particularly Rob Pipsner, said, yeah, with Gomez, the 3-pitch mix, before he got hurt, he was mostly 93 to 96. When he returned from the Braves, he had a pause in his delivery. Command is average on the fastball with some late life. Slider is good, not great. Did show above average command. So the slider and changeup are what he was working on before the injury. That's an intriguing minor league Rule 5 pick.
Yeah, I mean
it's a gamble with the shoulder, but
yeah, I want to see what the delivery looks like, given we're talking arm issues. But I mean, when you have these day and age, if you throw hard and you've got a usable secondary, that's a potential 6th inning guy at least. So, I mean, given they don't have to worry about returning him or anything, and that's like interesting, especially because he was good enough to be selected in the Major League Rule 5 draft. And he's in the high minors, whereas, in the past when they've taken some injury question guys, like I'm thinking like in 2016, Harrison Cooney, but he was all the way down in he had never pitched above, I think he was AA maybe. He had 4 innings or something. So he was basically an A-ball guy. And then some of the other arms they've taken, Yellow Leclerc was another one who they took, who had just, one appearance in AA. This guy has, experience pitching in the high minors. So if he is something, he's pretty close to big league ready.
Yeah. I mean, in 2017, he made his way. He actually, I think it was some tweak he made in 2017 where he started the year in low A Charleston and finished the year in Scranton.
Yeah, he was really good last year. I'm just looking at the stats. And then 2 years ago. Sorry. Yeah. And this year he was good. And he only threw 7 innings, but 8 strikeouts in 7 innings. I mean, in a bullpen role, I'll take that.
Yeah, so he's intriguing. And then Schwab is, righty side armor. He probably fits the minor league Rule 5.
Yeah, that's more like what you expect.
A little more. So, but side armor is always interesting. Low 90s fastball per hour report. My guess is probably a little bit less than that. 82 to 84 frisbee slider, fringe average control, a lot of contact. Was teammates at Missouri with Tanner Houck, apparently, at one point. I think if he was undrafted in 2015. And Houck
he wouldn't have been.
For a year. If he was there in 2015, Houck was a junior in 2017.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, you're right. Houck was drafted last year. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought, you're right.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah, so... interesting guy. But really, anyway, that was supposed to be an intro for what I think the biggest story, Ian, is Red Sox, did not select anyone in the Major League Rule 5 draft, which was no surprise, and did not lose Josh Ockamy, or some people were saying Austin Maddox might get picked. I didn't see it.
No.
Just given the fact that he's going to miss pretty much all of this. I think he's missing all of this year, right?
Didn't he have shoulder surgery?
Yeah, he had shoulder surgery in November.
Yeah.
No, it was September. I'm thinking of had knee surgery in November. But he had shoulder surgery in September. He's going to miss this year. He'll basically have missed 2 years in a row when he comes back in 2020.
Yeah.
And you have to carry him on your 40-man, or I guess you throw him right on the 60-day, but you're paying him a major league salary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't make sense. But Ockamy not getting picked, his name had been bandied about as a potential guy to get picked, but he was not one of the 14 guys selected.
The closer it got, the more confident I was he wasn't going to be picked. It just didn't seem. He's such a limited player defensively and frankly offensively too at this point that it's really hard to carry someone like that in one of your bench, your 4 or 5 bench spots. Mm-hmm. So it's as simple as that, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Hey, I mean, the Red Sox now have a ton of depth at the corners in AAA.
Which isn't the worst thing.
No, it really isn't, especially when you consider Devers is still young. They also have depth in the majors if you consider, like Nunez. As well as at first base, they've got a platoon where if one of the guys gets hurt, you just put the other guy in there pretty much all the time.
Well, especially though, like at first base right now, you've got Moreland and Pierce who are 34 and 30. Will play next year at 34 and 36 years old, I believe.
Really?
So
Okay.
it's good to have something down in the minors that potentially you could call up. Given injuries happen when you get old.
Yeah, so you've got Ockamy, you've got Sam Travis on the 40-man, you've got
Chavis is on the 40.
Chavis is on the 40-man, of course. Dahlbeck is not on the 40-man. They're pretty loaded in the corners and the high minors, which is why we've said in the past, hey, who knows? Maybe they'll try dealing a guy from that depth. So yeah, Rule 5, it's done in the books. We move on.
You mean the Rule V?
Rule V, the Rule V draft. Which yes, we know what a Roman numeral 5 is, but
it's not that.
It's not refer. The Major League rules do not use Roman numerals.
I know this is something you're passionate about. That's why.
No, you know what it is? I never used to care. Andrews.
But
it kills Andrews.
Oh, is it Mike?
Yeah,
okay.
Mike.
I knew someone because someone every year puts out on the official Sox Prospects Twitter.
It's Mike.
Like a tweet about it, and I'm
Mike.
just like, oh god.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Oh, sorry, dude. I just whacked the cat in the face with the mute button on the headphones. Sorry, dude. But yeah, he does post that on the Twitter every year, and it's like really passive aggressive.
People love it
though. It's really
though.
funny.
Like MLB people love it. It's such a weird inside baseball thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of an anticlimax when it came to the Rule 5.
But the other thing people are talking about, Ian, is the bullpen. Based on Dave Dombrowski has made comments that I don't know how remind me how he's worded it, but it's something to the effect of like they don't feel pressure to make a move.
Well, it seemed like they weren't in on Joe Kelly at all, which I think was the first indicator that because he got 325, I want to say
325, and apparently they didn't go beyond 2 years.
Yeah, so it seems like they're not really in the market for a major move, which is.
But I don't believe it. And here's the thing. Here's my.
So
first of all, last year
you're a little different than this, so this is good. So I'm interested to hear your take.
Okay, first of all, last year Dombrowski said that they were fine with the lineup the way it is before they signed JD Martinez.
Yeah, but everyone knew that was a lie. Or not a lie. It was like a smoke screen. You think this is a smoke screen?
And I think notice the way he puts he always words it like we're fine with the bullpen the way it is now.
He's a good lawyer. You got to give yourself an out.
That's probably why I recognize it, because that's lawyer speak.
I don't know if he's a lawyer, but that is like, when you're before Congress or something, you got to leave yourself an out.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, you probably are fine with it, but it doesn't mean you're not trying to upgrade. And what I've come to realize is I used to think Dombrowski had one speed, and that was identify what I want and go get it immediately. Right? Like, he always makes his moves early in the off season.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he goes and gets what he wants and gets it done. Look at, I mean, the way he got Pierce and Eovaldi done so quick this year, that's classic Dombrowski. Between last year with JD Martinez and this year with the bullpen, I think he's got a second speed, which is, okay, the way the market is going to play out, we are better off sitting back and waiting. Last year was because he knew Martinez was not going to have any kind of a market and that he would have to come down to their price. And this year, I think it's because the bullpen market is so flush with arms who would be fits on this roster. There's no need to go grab one now. He can sit back and wait for someone to panic.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that, because if you look at it, it's pretty interesting that the only like two major bullpen arms of note have signed, and it's Familia to the Mets and Kelly to the Dodgers. I think I might be forgetting one, but those were the only two that happened during the winter meetings.
Those are the only two bullpen arms off the table, I think.
And so, like, if you just look at our projected rosters and the acquisition list, I mean, guys still available: David Robertson, Adam Ottavino, Kelvin Herrera, Beef, aka Alex Wilson, Tony Sipp, Andrew Miller, Zach Britton, Craig Kimbrell. Like, there's a lot of names there that are very good.
Yeah, that I'd be happy with one of them.
Yeah.
If they got two, I think that'd be perfect.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's clear they don't care about the luxury tax again. I mean, they care, but they don't care. Because I think it was pretty interesting that even though they were over last year, I think they paid something like $12 million, which on the grand scheme of things is nothing to them.
It's not. It really is.
And it was shocking that when you compare it to like other sports where someone did a comparison to the NBA, where it's, I think if like a team in the NBA was over by the same amount the Red Sox were, they would pay like $150 million in penalties.
Right.
So it's like just baseball. I mean, the players have kind of screwed themselves again, where they've basically created teams are using it as a hard cap, even though it shouldn't be.
Right. And it's,
but that's a different discussion. But anyway, it just, I think they have a need, and I agree with you that I think they will address it. But I also think that if they don't, they have the arms in the system to piecemeal it together next year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about, because it's like, so right now, well, let's start with the pitching staff generally, right? We know the rotation at this point.
Rotation is set.
Sale, Price, Porcello, Eovaldi, Rodriguez in some order.
Yeah, and I think they said they're going to go 6 guys the first couple times through to keep the innings down, which means that one of Johnson or Velasquez starts, which is why I think both of them are going to make the team too.
Well, Velasquez has an option.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I thought he was out options too. Then he'll probably get option.
So
he'll probably get option.
Johnson's definitely up. I mean, he's proven himself valuable as a swingman, and I think Cora used him very well in that role last year. That's the best. That's the best the Red Sox have used, not one but 2 swingmen.
Yeah.
Since I've followed the Red Sox.
I honestly think that that's the way baseball is going, is you're going to have teams carrying 2 swingmen like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, unfortunately for Johnson, it might be him this year, but going forward, you would prefer to have people with options in those roles, obviously. Yep. Which is why I think like Mike Schwarn is someone to watch in that role going forward. But for next year, yeah, I mean, with Johnson and Velasquez, you have pretty good depth there, both for the rotation and then in that piggyback swingman role.
Right. So looking at the bullpen as it stands right now, we'll start with Stephen Wright. I don't think is going to be ready for the start of the season. The way the release about his knee surgery in November was read, it just didn't read. I forget what the wording was, but it didn't read like there was any confidence he would be ready.
Yeah. So I mean, but how can you be confident? He only pitched 53 innings.
Well, and that's the thing. You can't count on him anyway. Yeah. So, looking at the bullpen, you start with Barnes and Brazier at the top.
Oh, wow. Sorry. Just on Wright. I completely forgot that he missed most of 2017 too.
Yeah. Because of the shoulder thing and the concussion.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched really since 2016 at all.
Right.
I mean, he pitched a decent amount this year, but you know what I mean. Like,
no, he's been injury prone, although it's been more freak injury stuff, and then like the knee is just a chronic thing.
Well, and he's 34 already. Like, we're not talking about a spring chicken. Yeah. So,
hey,
in baseball terms,
nothing wrong with being 34. So starting at the top with Barnes and Brazier, at least Brian Johnson brings you to an 8-man staff. So that leaves. What do you go? Why am I never good at this? 7-man bullpen, right? Yeah. 7-man bullpen.
Well, they're carry 12 pitchers, right?
Yeah, 12 pitchers. So the 5 in the rotation: Johnson 6, Barnes, Brazier 7 and 8. So you've got 4 spots. Yeah. Right now, you're carrying all 3 of Thornburg, Hembry, Workman to start the year.
Yeah.
I personally think in a perfect world, you sign 2 guys and you trade one of those 3. Maybe not for much, but
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure they have much of a market given as we talked about the names that are available for free.
And that's why, right now they're definitely hauling the roster. And then, you got to figure one acquisition. You still have, I think you start Hector Velasquez in AAA.
Probably.
You pick at least one reliever up. Or, at the beginning, I could see at the beginning of the year they use both Johnson and Velasquez. They go with 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
Sale is getting piggybacked.
Yeah, and then they option one of them after 2 weeks or something. Or they option Velasquez after 2 weeks.
Right. Assuming health.
Yeah.
Right. But then at AAA, on the 40-man right now.
That's a lot.
You've got Travis Lakins, Colton Brewer, who they traded for, Bobby Pointer, Josh Taylor, and then in the theoretical rotation of AAA, Chandler Shepard and Marcus Walden. Meanwhile, Mike Schwarn is not on the 40-man and could easily wind up getting added at some point, pitch his way into getting added to the roster next season early. There's a lot of depth there. And then in AA lurking is Darwinzon Hernandez, and Durbin Feltman as well.
Yeah, they have a lot of names. That's why I say it's interesting that I wonder if what they're basically holding for is they don't want to give a long-term deal. They basically want to give a 1-year deal to 1 or 2 guys because they know they have these guys coming.
Yeah, I think maybe a 2-year deal.
Yeah, but you have, like, as you said, Lakin's Brewer, who they seem to really like, it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they went out and got him, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he made the team, frankly, out of camp, if based on what they've been talking, the way they've been talking about him. And then, as you said, do they decide to carry a lefty? Then it's one of Pointer or Taylor, because Robbie Scott got DFA'd or claimed off waivers by the Reds.
Right.
So he's gone. So, and then, as you said, I think the looming two is Lakins and Feltman, because I don't think Lakins necessarily has closer stuff, but Feltman has closer stuff.
Right, and Lakins is on the 40-man already.
And Lakins has late inning stuff, but not necessarily closer. So it's the question to me is, like, would Dombrowski be comfortable turning things over eventually to, like, someone like Feltman in their second or third year?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
and the thing is, with a lot of those guys, other than Kimbrel, I don't think any of those guys are guys you have to promise the closer's role to.
No.
You bring them in saying, hey, we'll close you if you're pitching like the closer, but Matt Barnes might close.
Brazier might close.
Brazier might close. You might close. The other guy we signed might close. And then, next year we got this kid Feltman who might come up. Not that you're going to explain all that to him, but it's like you just say, look, we're not going to promise you anything. We'll give you a look. But
that's the way it should be. I mean, I don't
agree.
Obviously, with Kimbrel, you kind of are your hand is forced, frankly. But I'm just not sure
with the outlay of money alone.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they're going to want to do that, or the years, because he's going to want a multi-year deal, at least probably 4 years. I mean, the number that was being rumored is absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I think flexibility is key with the bullpen, and they've put themselves in a good spot where they have the fungible arms in the minors that they can go to, and they can kind of piece it together and see what sticks. And that's the way I like to do it, rather than, being in a situation where you're forced to go out and spend, big on 3 of these guys who are available.
Right. I think they're in the catbird seat, and it's a good situation. I still don't buy that they're not going to sign anyone, though. I mean,
I don't think they would sign. I don't think they're going to sign 2. I think they'll probably sign one of those guys.
Yeah, and that's what the winter meetings have brought me back on. They're not going to get 2 of them; they'll only get 1. But
get David Robertson for
or Ottavino.
$8 million deal or something with an option for a second year, or two second year option or whatever.
Or you do something fungible like what they did when they re-signed Nunez, right? Like you do some kind of thing with a player option.
Exactly, like a low player option the following. Yeah. So I think that it's going to be interesting though going forward, what they do with the closer role, because obviously in the playoffs, Barnes was really good and Brazier was good, but I remember what year was it? They went closer by committee.
2003.
It was just like
they had to go get Byung-Hyun Kim.
It was hilarious. So
and the thing is, there's a human element here, right? Like guys like to know what their role is. The part that I don't get is like, why does the role have to be 9th inning?
Yeah. Well,
I've never understood that.
I can't remember who made it, but someone made the argument that basically what they should do is Barnes is probably their best reliever now, and they throw him in whatever inning they need, and then they have someone like Brazier or someone else is basically, he's not their 9th inning guy, but he's the pseudo 9th inning guy. You throw him earlier in the game if you need him, and then you kind of like how the Athletics were using their bullpen last year with Blake Trinan, just throwing him whenever they needed him.
Right. I really wish more teams would do that, but apparently it messes with guys' heads or something. I don't know.
It's also, money. Saves get you paid, but they used to.
That's true.
If I'm an agent, I don't want my guy who's been a closer for 10 years not getting saves anymore.
Outside of arbitration, I don't know that that's true anymore, and I think that's why you might see a lot more. Especially you look at like Andrew Miller.
Fair. He's gotten paid.
Yeah, like guys have gotten paid outside of arbitration without getting saves.
It matters in arbitration a lot, though.
And that's the thing, and that's why you're going to see young guys want saves, and then once you get out of arbitration, it won't matter as much.
Yeah. Well, that's also, I think, why you see like teams are willing to move their young guy. If like Edwin Diaz is an example, he gets a bunch of saves, he goes into arbitration, his number's going to be huge. The Mariners don't want that anymore, so they're willing to trade someone like that, even though he's one of the best closers in the game.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. The bullpen, it's going to be interesting. Something I'm sure we'll be talking about throughout the year.
Yep. Ian, looking at other news here, it's been since about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we recorded right before Thanksgiving.
Right before Thanksgiving. They had just done all of the crazy set of moves on November the 20th. fair amount of movement. And you've mentioned Robbie Scott got claimed off waivers to Cincinnati. Eovaldi has obviously re-signed. I guess we just run through these real quick. The Red Sox avoided arbitration with Tyler Thornburg and tendered contracts to everyone else, so they didn't non-tender anybody. Tony Renda re-signed, Mike Andrews' boy. He's back. He hates when I say that, too. I'm just saying that to mess
good
with
depth guy.
Good depth guy. I like it.
Yep.
Makes sense. Justin Haley is gone. He signed with the Samsung Lions in Korea.
Good for him. I hope he makes a lot of money over there.
Yeah, he's going to make more money over there than he would have made over here.
Yep.
That's for sure. And let's see, some minor league. Oh, the Red Sox signed Gorkis Hernandez, Ian.
I did not get that one at all.
That's a weird, not for the Red Sox, but
for him.
Hernandez spent last year in the majors.
He spent 2017 in the majors. He hasn't played in the minors since 2016.
Yeah. Signed to a minor league deal. He's going to be in Pawtucket. I would assume he's got opt-outs, Ian.
He has to.
Got to have opt-outs.
It's the only way it makes sense because he's not making the major league roster is set, right? I mean,
yeah, no, there's no way he makes the roster.
They're gonna move one of the catchers.
I think
but
the Red Sox have. I don't think they need any starting outfielders. And I think their fourth outfielder. Right. I think they're going to use the DH as the fourth outfielder.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I guess if you look at it, he is their best minor league depth option in the outfield by far.
Well, best minor league depth option who
is eligible to be called up. Yeah, they're not going to call up Rusney Castillo, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Because Rusney Castillo comes up and they're immediately over the top. That immediately puts them over the top CBT mark again next year.
Yeah.
Although it's an interesting argument, should they have called him up this year? Because it wouldn't have mattered because they went over anyway.
True. I mean, it's just, I think for him, it's, as you said, it makes no sense. But I mean, for them, it's a good depth move. I like it in that regards. Yeah,
he must have opt-outs.
It has to be.
Season. Anything else interesting on there? You mentioned Robbie Scott. Obviously, Joe Kelly signed with the Dodgers. Ian Kinsler signed with the Pods.
It seems like it's just they're kind of just filling out rosters right now. Signing indie ball guys.
Kyle Wren signed with Cincinnati, even though he's what's his dad? I want to say Jordan's his brother. What's his dad name?
Frank
Wren. Thank you.
Yeah. It's kind of we're in the slow season right now, and I mean, looking even on the projected rosters, their minor league teams are pretty filled out. There's not going to be a lot of movement. I think. Obviously, I mean, the one thing that was worth mentioning was Francisco Lopez Soto, who spent this year got popped for drug of abuse second
positive test for a drug of abuse, which is 50, right?
Yeah, so he's suspended for 50 games. So that happened, and then. Other than that, I think it's kind of we're kind of in the slow season, and it's going to be winding down for the next couple of weeks before it probably starts picking back up in the new year, I would guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just laughing. My wife scared the crap out of the cat. It's slow, but we have the other thing going on, just checking in really quick on the Winter Leagues. I hadn't realized apparently Rusney Castillo is now playing in the Puerto Rican Winter League, becoming by far the most interesting player the Red Sox still have playing in winter ball. He's played in one game. He went
nice.
5.
Hasn't the Liga Paralela finished up, right?
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention is the Liga Paralela, which is basically the minor league to the Venezuelan Winter League.
Yeah.
The Red Sox have had a team there for a number of years now because of, I would assume, the financial situation in Venezuela, which is not great. There were 5 teams in the league this year. And it was the Red Sox team, the Dodgers team, I want to say the Phillies team, and 2 teams that are the minor league team of one of the Venezuelan teams. Because before it was a mismatch, and they were mix and match of 10 teams, and 3 of them were major league affiliated, and the other 7 were the minor league teams of the Venezuelan teams. So Aragua has 2 teams for some reason. That's really strange to me. But the Red Sox won the 5-team league. Which, whatever that's worth. I mean, the headliner to me, Ian...
Flags fly forever.
Right. The headliner to me is Christopher Acosta pitched well.
Your boy.
I can't quit him.
It's
26 innings, 24 strikeouts, 4 walks, 1.73 ERA, 0.88 WHIP. And they had a number of guys who pitched really well. You could argue that Acosta should have been too advanced for this level, but... Considering he hasn't pitched in 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, it was good to get him back on the field, but it's still I need to if he's down there at spring training, then we will start to take notice. That's all I'll say.
Exactly. On the offensive side, the hitters were led by Pedro Castellanos, Ian, who hit 458, 531, 819.
So this is like
in 83 at bats.
This has to be so. He played the entire year at Greenville and hit over 300. That's the equivalent of sticking like a college Division I player in Legion ball. Like, yeah,
that's not a bad comp.
Like, he was far too advanced for this level.
He hit 6 home runs after hitting 1 all year. But that said, it's nice to see the 6 home runs.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, the 3 best hitters on that team probably were Castellanos, Victor Acosta, who spent the year in Salem, and Carlos Tovar, who spent the year in Salem.
Yeah. So that's not a surprise.
No, it's not.
Because I think they're the 3 most advanced guys, right?
Yeah, that was it. And actually, Keybert Pettit hit 364, 476, 545. He was in the Gulf Coast League. So he's at an age-appropriate level and hit really well, but that was good. But yeah, I mean, good to see them win. It doesn't really mean a lot till we see these guys stateside. But the pitchers, the starting pitchers all pitched really well, and a couple guys out of the bullpen pitched really well. So I think we'll see.
Yeah, I was just looking at the pitchers, like Jordan Pantoja had a good year. Mosqueda, he didn't pitch that much.
Well, Mosqueda was with his Venezuelan team and got sent down. So that's why he only pitched like 7 innings.
Gotcha.
But the development program, the rotation, just to give people a preview of guys who are probably going to be coming over, was Acosta, Jesus Rocio, Yorvin Pantoja, who was in Lowell, right?
Yes.
Yoel Vizquez and Alvaro Leal. And then the top relievers were Luis Rivero and Baker Pineda.
Ooh, great name.
And Jose Gonzalez. So
Beaker.
It's Beiker. I'm probably butchering it.
Okay.
Please correct me by email or Twitter if I'm.
I think it's Biker, maybe.
Maybe Biker. Biker sounds right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Ian, let's get to our email question.
Yes. Let us
leave. And this question comes from Andrew. I guess Andy. He signed it and he says, "I have a thanks for the podcast. Really enjoy it on my way to work. I have a question about Bobby Dahlbeck." Me too. He writes, his future success depends upon being able to hit enough for his power to play enough. Sorry. If this doesn't happen, is there a chance that he does a reverse Trey ball and reverts to pitching? He was rated as a decent pitching prospect, but didn't enjoy pitching. Would the years that he would miss at the moment preclude him from possibly having a role in the majors as a relief pitcher? Thanks again, and all the best to all at the site for the holidays. Ian, it seems to me that the obvious first response was what he already talked about, which is that Dahlbeck hated hitting. Hated pitching. Likes hitting. He's a hitter. Hitters like hitting.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance they go that? How long would you wait before you pull the trigger on that?
I mean, it'd be multiple years down the line, like 4.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like he's the type of guy. He doesn't have the profile for someone who I think would be a likely target for that conversion, because he does have the power. And if you can, all it takes is one team to believe they can fix his swing, or not even fix his swing, but cut down on the strikeouts. That he's the type of guy who he can have a lot of success in AAA. Guys like Mike Hessman spend 20 years in AAA hitting 30 home runs a year, but hitting 220. And even if Dahlbeck doesn't make enough contact to be a big leaguer, I think he could still do that. I mean, and another guy I was thinking Mike Holt is still hanging around. That type of profile, teams are always willing to take a chance on him or need it to fill. Say? Mike Holt. Do you remember him? I was just thinking it's just guys.
The one that's been in the system.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But when you think of Mike Holt as kind of who I think if Dahlbeck doesn't work, figure it out. That's kind of like the career you're looking at. You're someone who's going to jump around and teams will give a chance because he has power. But at the end of the day, you're kind of stuck. But guys like that, teams still need. So I would try it out if it doesn't work a few years down the road. If I find the Red Sox, but again, it's on him. And I think he'd be able to find a job, as a position player. So I'm not sure he's a likely target for it.
Counterpoint. In 2008, Sean Doolittle hit 22 home runs, went to the Arizona Fall League and hit 293, 363, 578 with 8 home runs.
Yeah.
And he was pitching by 2011.
Yeah, I mean there's always. I mean,
what happened to him? Because he missed 2010. I
want to say he had. I don't know. Actually, I was just saying knee injury, but I don't know. I could have just made that up. But I don't know. I mean, I think that obviously for the Red Sox, you're going to try everything because he's a good prospect at the plate right now.
2 knee surgeries.
Oh, I was right. I knew it was knee surgery. So they're going to try obviously that, but down the road, sure. I mean, he was obviously. I think I read he was like a 2nd or 3rd round grade as a pitcher, so kind of similar to where he went as a position player. And he pitched really well, obviously, that last year in Arizona to the point where some teams liked him more on the mound than at the plate. So It's always good to have options, but you want Dahlbeck to work out as a hitter, and I'm sure he does too, because obviously, as the emailer mentioned, he doesn't like pitching.
Right, yeah. I mean, he stated that he hated it, but
yeah.
I mean, he could. I know the Red Sox pitching coach staff, the Red Sox pitching coaches in the minors would love to work with him on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, because he's got like a great pitcher's frame. I mean, obviously he has a huge arm, so
right. I mean, it's
it would be interesting.
Third. Yeah,
it's a 65, 70 arm at third.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, keep in mind this isn't a Yohan Lopez. Not Yohan Lopez.
Yohan Ibar.
Yohan Ibar. Yohan Lopez is the Diamondbacks guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't a Yohan Ibar Williams Jerez thing where like they literally never hit.
Yeah, he's hit.
He's hit. That's the thing. So.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe he's not going to become Joey Gallo, but if he can become a close facsimile of that, he'll have a major league career as a hitter.
Yep.
The question for me that's interesting is when you look at a Shohei Ohtani, when you look at a Brendan McKay, when you look at Caleb Cowart, who the Mariners traded for. I think they traded for him. Or did they sign him?
No, they signed him.
They signed him? Okay.
I think
Caleb Cowart used to be the Angels' top prospect.
Yeah.
They had a very weak system, but he used to be their top prospect. I think he was
he's claimed off waivers.
Claimed off waivers, okay.
Yeah.
Cowart was a third baseman. The Mariners claimed him with the stated purpose of making him a pitcher/third baseman.
Yeah. Well, I know.
Is this something we're going to start seeing? And if you're Bobby Dahlbeck, do you say, I can make myself some money doing both?
Well, there are a lot of teams who are doing this. Like I know Anthony Ghost was taken by the Astros, I believe, in the Rule 5 draft last year to do this. The Rays drafted a guy this year in the 2nd round named Tobias Dobson, who I saw him a lot this year because he was with Hudson Valley and then during Instructs. And he was a 2nd round pick, and he plays center field and pitches, and they're letting him do both.
And by the way, go ahead. Sorry.
And no, I was just going to say, and like Tanner Dodson. I got his name wrong. He throws like I saw him. He was like 93. He was up to like 97 on the mound, and he's athletic as all get out. And he's like switch hitting center fielder who can run. So it seems like the teams are kind of going that route. Now, I mean, when you think about it, when you're limited to a 25-man roster. If you have someone in that 25th spot who can be, a position player and a pitcher, that would be insanely valuable.
Yeah.
Rather than having to carry either, 13 pitchers or conversely having the extra bench guy, you can do both with that. And it probably is, frankly, I'm sure like teams have, people like with economics degrees and everything's running all this and statisticians that in terms of, value added, that would probably be the most valuable role that 25th or that last roster spot could be, taken up by. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if this is where I think the way things will go. And, honestly, the Red Sox have never said that Trey Ball is done pitching.
That is correct.
They've been very clear that they have said we're going to see what happens. They've never said he might do both.
Yeah.
But they've never said, he's not going to pitch anymore.
I'm interested. He's one I'm interested to see in spring training to see what they do with him.
Yeah, I could see them trying that with him, frankly. If that's the way they get the most value out of him, because let's face it, he's not going to start. I don't think if he's not going to start as a pitcher. I think it's asking a lot to expect that he become a starting outfielder in the majors. But if he could become a bench guy to do both.
I mean, he's got raw power, and maybe he can get lefties out. That's something I think not necessarily just ball, but that's the type of player that you could use in that role.
Sure, definitely. So that's interesting. Thanks a lot for the question, Andy.
And then I got one Twitter question too.
Oh, you did? Okay,
I did.
Fire away.
This is from John Wolfson on Twitter.
Is this the one I saw too?
It's a Zhu Wei Lin one.
Yep.
And the question was, or do you want to read it?
No, you do it. You've got it.
Okay. Love the podcast. How about an in-depth discussion about Zhu Wei Lin, just 24 and already parts of 2 seasons in the majors, improved his approach, talented, versatile defender. Could he be ranked higher? And what do we think about his ceiling and floor? And thank you for the question, John.
Yeah, thanks.
Chris, want to take it? Or?
Sure. Well, I mean, to me, the thing that really kind of stuck out to me is the just 24 piece. At 24, Xander Bogaerts was on like his 4th year as a starting shortstop in the majors.
Yeah.
Lynn is not that young anymore. I mean, he's young, but like...
Well, I think what kind of throws people off is he's been in the system since 2012.
Right.
He signed because he was one of the few, you don't
16-year-old
for the guys don't usually sign as a 16-year-old out of the Asian market, but he did. And so he has been around forever.
Yeah.
And
or he might have been, let's see, he's a 1994 birthday. He signed in 2012.
He was 18.
He was 18. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, your point stands.
Yeah. And it's just obviously as the John alluded to, this year in Pawtucket was fantastic. I mean, he hit 307, 362 on base, 448 slugging, which was the highest of his career, I believe. Except for
it was in 68 games.
Yeah, I mean, but that was
Sure.
In Portland in 2017, he actually had a 491. But anyway, But he hit really well this year, and I think he kind of has played himself into being like a utility guy. But it's just as the combination of the age and he just doesn't have a carrying tool kind of limits the upside. He's kind of stuck, if that makes sense. And he's also stuck because the Red Sox have a carbon copy of him more or less on the roster already.
Who? Holt?
In Brock Holt, in terms of like his role is taken. Yes. The versatile defender who's a lefty hitter who can play shortstop, he can play second, he can play third, play the outfield. Like they have someone who does that. And so he's kind of stuck in that regards on the roster. And then that obviously the reason he doesn't project as a starter limits the upside to the point where there's just not a lot of ceiling. It's a high floor because at worst you're looking at, a solid emergency up and down guy. But
although this is his last year with an option.
Yeah. So
my guess is what the plan, if things go right for the Red Sox, is maybe, potentially Lynn replaces Brock Holt on the roster in 2020.
I think so too.
That said, they like Brock Holt. Brock Holt's a useful player, and he's only going to be 31 this year.
I mean, he's clearly a good clubhouse guy too. So.
Yeah, they love him in the clubhouse. So, there's something to that.
But, I mean, the counter to that, I would say, is they carried both Eduardo Nunez and Brock Holt all of this year.
Nunez bats right, throws right.
No, I know. I agree with that. But it's
Holt's
like they can carry a second.
Left.
Yeah. So, I don't know. He had a very good year. He's definitely made improvements to the point where you can project him as a major leaguer, but there's just not a lot of upside because he doesn't do anything great. It's, it's just a lot of like 45, 50-ish tools, and he doesn't have power. So, yeah. But thank you for the email.
Yeah, the tweet actually. But thank you for remembering that. I had forgotten all about that.
No problem.
Yeah. Lynn, I mean, he's a major leaguer. For sure,
yeah.
And I'm sure there are teams that if the Red Sox will not be able to put him through waivers next year.
Not a chance.
Put it that way.
No, there's a 0% chance he would make it. He would get claimed by whoever the first team is.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, thanks for the question. All right, well, I think, Ian, we recorded a shorter podcast.
Yeah, we said we were going to, and we did it.
Well, I made it a point not to. Because whenever I say that, we never do. Thanks
we
for
didn't
hopping
say it on the podcast. We said it before.
That's true.
Or did we? Yeah, we did say it before.
Maybe. Whatever. Anyway, all right. Thank you all for listening again. If you want to send us emails, podcast@soxprospects.com. We're probably going to shut it down until after the holidays unless something big happens. But
yeah, the only way would be I could see us recording an emergency podcast over the holidays these next few weeks is if like Xander Bogaerts got traded.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. For Ian, I'm Chris. Follow Ian at Ian Cundall, IANCUNDALL on Twitter. I'm at SP Chris Hatfield. I can follow the site at Sox Prospects. Shout out to Joe Tetrault, our podcast editor and producer, and all around great dude. We hope you and your family are doing great this holiday season. Same to all of our listeners and all of our patrons at patreon.com/Sox Prospects.
There you go. You're having the same issue I am.
I've got condylitis. Have a great holiday season, everybody. Happy New Year.
And thank you for the support this year. And
thanks for the
looking
support.
forward to 2019.
We've already got some irons in the fire on some guests we'd like to bring on, so stay tuned. Don't tune out this for the off season, but we'll be back at you hopefully sooner than later. Thanks.